we interrupt this session to bring you a cute little kitty. Are you just gonna be in all of my videos now? Huh? Are you just gonna be in all of them? Okay. Okay. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Zoe, and today I'm here to bring you my October wrap-up. I had a great reading month in October. I read a lot of spooky books. I read most of the books that I wanted to read. Overall, it was just a really solid month of reading. In total, I read 9 books, 3 graphic novels, 2 audiobooks, 1 anthology, and then the rest were like mystery thriller fiction books. I think I had mostly 3-star reads, 1 2-star read, and then a few 4-star reads with a 4.5 in there as well. Let me just jump to them. I will show you guys what I read in the month of October. The very first book that I read in the month of October was A Stranger in the House by Shari Lapena. This is an adult mystery thriller. I would say probably more mystery than thriller. It's about a man and a wife, and the wife gets an unusual phone call in the evening, races out the house, does something, and ends up crashing her vehicle into this light post. And that's really essentially where we jump into the book. The husband comes home and notices that the wife is gone. It's very unusual. She left, food out. She left her purse. Why did she race out of the house? And then the husband gets the call from the hospital telling him that his wife has been in an accident. She was found in this crushed up car in the bad side of town, which is highly unusual for his wife. What's super interesting is when the wife wakes up, she has no recollection at all of what happened. She doesn't know why she was where she was. She doesn't know why she went there. She has no clue what would bring her to that part of town. She cannot remember a thing. So that is essentially this mystery. We watch it unravel. We watch some mysterious people come into the picture. Overall, it was a really fun and fast-paced read. I could not put it down. I think I read it in like 2 days, which is pretty unusual for me. I get that way with mystery thrillers because I just want to know what happened. And I'm really bad at guessing. So maybe it's like the more I read, the more I will successfully guess what happened. But I really enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite. I was a little unsatisfied with the ending, but overall it was just an entertaining read. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read in the month of October was actually Giant Days Volume 1. This is a graphic novel following 3 friends, 3 roommates in college. Girls just met, they're freshmen, they're going to college, and it just kind of follows their adventures as they begin their college years. I read that, I picked it up, I read it in one sitting. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite. Like, I actually don't think I'll probably continue on with the series. It was entertaining, but it wasn't anything that I super loved. I think I ended up giving that one a 3 out of 5 stars as well. Oh no, Scout. I apologize if you guys hear weird random noises. My cat decided to play with a toy. It's like this little thing that, do you hear that? He's flinging it across the room. Really? Do you have to do this now? What are you doing? Okay, jumping back in. The next book that I read in the month of October was actually My Best Friend's Exorcism. This is by Grady Hendrix. This is a crazy book. I would say it's definitely a thriller horror book, and it is it's set in the 80s, which is really fun. I super enjoyed that aspect of it. It follows a girl and her best friend in high school and kind of the hijinks that high schoolers get into, and then eventually her best friend gets possessed by a demon. I mean, there's really not much more to say about that. It was pretty ridiculous. I mean, I read it because I knew it wasn't going to be like it wasn't written to be this like scare factor. There were definitely some scenes that were unsettling, but it was really just kind of nostalgic. It had great friendship trope. There wasn't heavy romance in this book, which I really enjoyed. It really was just about the 2 best friends and what happens when one of them gets possessed by a demon and the power of friendship. And for that reason, I actually really loved this book. I really enjoyed reading it, and I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I recommend it. I thought it was great. The next book that I read in the month of October was probably my favorite book that I did read. We read this for our book club and I loved it, and that was The Rules of Magic. This is by Alice Hoffman. Most of you have probably read or at least heard of Practical Magic, which is the second one. I guess this is like essentially the prequel to Practical Magic, but it was written after Practical Magic. I have never read Practical Magic. I have never seen the movie. I never knew it existed until this month. When we picked this up for book club, I was pretty excited because first of all, it's so pretty and I just love pretty things. And it's about these 3 siblings. They are witches. They grew up in the 1960s in New York City. So the setting was really cool. And it's really just like their life. And I loved that. I don't often read books where it takes place over the span of someone's entire life. And I just really appreciated that aspect. The pacing was really, really well done. The characters were really well fleshed out. I absolutely felt something different for each one of them. I related to each one of them in different ways. I felt like I was part of their family. Like, I just loved this book and everything that they go through and how it ties up together. I mean, I just absolutely loved it. It was magical. It made you feel so many different emotions, happy, sad, everything in between, and I totally recommend it. This is one that I think I'll revisit probably every year. I just really, really enjoyed it. I gave this 5 stars. I'm still trying to decide. I go in between 5 stars and 4.5 stars because it doesn't feel like one of my favorite books, but when I remember what I read, I really liked it. So I don't know. I'm gonna settle for now on 4.5 stars, but really, really good. Totally recommend. I want everyone to read this book. I loved it. The next 2 books that I read are kind of in the same genre. I read The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. This is volume 1, I suppose, book 1. And then I also read Through the Woods. This is by Emily Carroll. These are both graphic novels that I really, really liked. Sabrina, it's so funny because I had no clue that Netflix was putting out a series on this. Like the same people that did Riverdale put out a Sabrina series, which I love. I grew up with Archie comics. I love Archie comics. I'm not so much a fan of Riverdale just because I have so many fond memories of the comics. And then this Sabrina is so much darker than like the comic book Sabrina, but I liked it. I'm a fan of, you know, darker things, and this definitely was that. This was intense. This was super intense and kind of gory, and if you get scared easily, don't read it. It didn't scare me by any means. It's like a grown-up version of Sabrina, not the Sabrina I know. The show, I've been watching the show and I have been really liking the show so far, and it follows really closely, at least with this first book. I liked it a lot, and then I was super happy that they just came out with the show and I got to watch the show right after I read this, so that was cool. And then I also read the graphic novel Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. A lot of people recommend this. Really, really fast read. It's like multiple short stories and they all kind of take place, they're all different, they all kind of take place in the woods. Creepy things happen. It was entertaining. It wasn't my favorite. I think I gave both of these 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read, didn't get all the way through, but I gave it the good old college try, and that was Toil and Trouble, 15 Tales of Women in Witchcraft. And this is an anthology that has like 20 or so short stories from all these different kinds of authors, and it just follows like women in witchcraft, and like they're all kinds of different environments, eras, just different people. It was really great. Like, I really, really liked some of these stories, and then I just really couldn't get through some of the other ones. I actually also tried to read Scream and Scream Again put together by R.L. Stine. That's another anthology. I tried to get through that one as well, and I couldn't finish it. So I don't know if I like anthologies. I think I like the idea of anthologies because I'm like, oh, I can read, it's like reading a story a day, or like I'm gonna feel so good in finishing a story. But I think because I don't know what I'm getting myself into when I start the story, and then if it's, 25 pages of a story that I didn't like or knew I wouldn't even like if I had gotten to read the synopsis, it just is that much harder to get through. But then I have this thing where I'm like, well, I gotta finish it. So I got about halfway through. I'm still counting it because I did read some really solid stories. I didn't get through all of them. I loved the first one. And then there was another one by Brandy Colbert that I really, really liked. But I don't know, I just found it really hard to get through this, and I just wanted to move on to a book. So overall, I believe I gave this 2 stars. I think I gave it 2 out of 5 stars just because I pretty much only liked 2 out of the 10 or so stories that I read. The next book that I read was Nightmares, The Sleepwalker Tonic. And this is by Jason Segel and Kristen Miller. And it is a middle grade series. I believe there's 3 of them, and this is number 2. I really, really like this series. I love middle grade. I love a good middle grade. And this is such a solid middle grade series. I read the first one last year around the exact same time, perfect for Halloween. Not super scary. It's really kind of charming and endearing, and there's a lot of humor in it. I suppose I should tell you what it's about. This follows a little boy. His name is Charlie. He and his stepmother and his brother have the ability to enter into the nightmare realm, essentially, where they can converse with nightmares. So it's like a little creepy, and the first book goes over that, and then the second book, something happens, one of the nightmares escapes and gets out into the real world, and so it's up to them to rescue their town from the nightmares that are haunting it. Like I said, it's just a really, really solid series. It's really easy to read. It's really funny. The humor is just really, really cute. It's very middle grade humor. One thing that I really, really also like about this series is just the heartfelt messages that it seems to deliver. Just really great friendship messages, and loving your siblings messages, and facing your fears. I'm all about that. Like, even as an adult, you can read that and feel inspired and encouraged and empowered, and I just love that middle grade can make you feel like a kid again, but also deliver messages that encourage you as an adult. It's just wonderful. I love this so much, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is the last book that I read in October. I just finished it. I cannot stop thinking about it, and that is The Long Walk by Stephen King. Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start with this. It was the first Stephen King book that I ever read, and it is set in a dystopian world where 100 teenage boys every year are chosen to take part in the Long Walk. What happens on the Long Walk is that these 100 teenage boys literally walk until they cannot walk any longer. They have to walk at a pace no slower than 4 miles an hour, and if they receive 3 warnings, they are shot dead. So it's a death march, essentially. It is so intense. It is so painful to read. There were times where I was reading this book and I felt like I was like I couldn't breathe. You feel like you are taking part in this long walk with them, and it is just crazy. It wasn't intensely graphic, it wasn't super gory, but it was just mind bendy. Like, just the thought of walking until you can no longer walk is crazy. Like, these kids had no sleep. They got like these food packets to eat every couple of hours. They got as much water as they wanted, but like, just walk until you can no longer walk. I mean, I don't know, that just, oh man, you see like people go crazy and just like insane. And then the ending, oh my gosh, the ending. I was so happy with the ending. I'm a fan of when books leave endings kind of to your interpretation. I know that like makes a lot of readers mad, but I love that. And the ending is totally up to your interpretation, and oh my goodness, I hope they make a movie about this or a show or something. It'd be probably not a long show, but man, this one is not gonna leave my mind for a long time. This was absolutely crazy. If you're looking to read Stephen King, I do recommend this one as your first one to read. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh my goodness. Those are all the books I read in October. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you had a wonderful reading month in October. Let me know the best book that you read in the month of October, and let me know why you liked it, and maybe I'll add it to my November TBR because I'm always looking for new things to read. All right, you guys, well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Be kind to someone today, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye!